this.
Totally.
So good afternoon. I'm Jen Bonet with Creative Coast, and this is our lunchtime topic on July 9th, 2020. The Creative Coast is a nonprofit organization focused on catalyzing the startup community here in Savannah, Georgia. And we're really pleased today to have Trivinia Barber with us from Priority VA. Trivinia and I have connected a couple of times in the last 2 years since we both moved here around the same time, and she's a total rock star in the VA space, so virtual assistants. She's worked with Michael Hyatt and some other really famous people in the internet scene that really have built their businesses using these teams of virtual assistants, and she's here to talk to us today about delivering a radical customer experience. So I'm going to turn it over to her. Welcome, Trivinia.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. I'm privileged to be here to be able to talk to you and all of the people who will catch this on recording about customer experiences and how we can deliver radical service, being generous in our time and in our response and our solutions for the customers that we serve. Customer service for most of us is the cashier at our local coffee shop maybe, or the agent from India on the phone who's trying to help us reset our modem before they finally transfer us to the actual technician that can help us, right? But from a practical perspective, customer service is the activity of satisfying our customers' needs. But from an emotional one, it's much more than that. It's caring for and treating our customers with respect. And the goal of every company, whether we're online or brick and mortar, should be to exceed customer expectations with every interaction. I think you might remember the movie Castaway, where Tom Hanks at the end epitomized the customer service values of FedEx when he delivered that package at the end of the movie. It's always what I imagine when I think about what good customer service means to me. It's one of the most important and yet overlooked or undervalued aspects of our businesses. I believe every one of us is giving an experience for our customers in every interaction, every email, every Facebook post, every Zoom interaction or phone call that we have. So what if we stopped looking about how we approach customer service as simply the act of taking care of the customer's needs, and instead look at it as our opportunity to serve at the highest level, creating an experience worth talking about? Because the reality is we're giving our clients an experience whether or not we realize it. And unless we're incredibly intentional, it likely is not going to be the experience we want them talking about. So what is this customer experience I'm talking about? I'm going to start with a story about groceries. I am a diehard Kroger fan. I've been going to these stores, even in Colorado, since I was a little girl. But when I moved to Georgia, the Kroger here in my community is a little subpar. It's not well kept, and they even did away with the olive bar. Apparently, Southerners do not eat Kalamata olives at the rate that I do. But they're always, always out of the produce that I'm looking for. The experience, although I know the store and its layout like the back of my hand, is subpar, and I leave frustrated every week. But Publix, on the other hand, is a smaller store. There's a guest services table right when I walk in, and they always, always say, "Welcome to Publix," every time I walk in. It's a bit more organic feeling. It's elegant, but not Whole Foods fancy, right? And they always have the ingredients that I need, whether it's a small green pepper or like something crazy like kohlrabi if I want to make an interesting recipe. So it sounds like a no-brainer though, right? Just shop at Publix, Trivinia. They have what you want, when you want it. People are nice. Publix is more expensive, and it's harder to navigate because I don't know it as well. And it's even out of my area geographically. So I still feel tied to Kroger. I want it to work at Kroger, and my heart says, like, go to Kroger. Maybe not like that, but you know what I mean. I really, really want it to work at Kroger. And so for now, I'm sampling both stores. I'm going to both, and I'm grading the experience that I have every time. Kroger right now is kind of popping my dedication bubble because they don't deliver on the experience that I need. And that is a scary thought if we equate it to how people might feel about working with our business. How many people are shopping around, not for convenience, but for a better experience after they engage with us or our team? These are tough questions, and so what do we do about them? I own a staffing company, and since we work with humans, they are bound to make mistakes. We have had some diehard early adopters in our business that have been ride or die fans of ours for years, like Gary Nealon, shown here. He's been with us through the ups and downs, and he takes the punches in the gut when an executive assistant sort of fails him. Maybe you've seen it with clients. If their billing gets messed up or their order is wrong again, they stay because they believe in us and they want us to succeed. But you know what? They might actually stop shouting from the mountaintops about how great you are if the experience leaves something else to be desired. So we got to do something about it proactively. Help Scout tells us that Americans tell 9 people about a good experience and 16 people about a poor one. These days, with the prevalence of social media, whether your business is active on it or not, there are higher expectations for customer service in general, and that gap between people saying good things or bad things about our business is narrowed significantly. And it's a lot of exposure, especially if it's not aligned with who you want to show up as and how you want people to recognize your brand. These 4 little lovelies are why I started my business, and I had a vision that I could be a great mom and still provide for my family and help others do the same. My company, Priority VA's mission and core values have been carefully crafted to embody my vision for our culture, my principles, and my beliefs about how everyone should feel when they work with us. And it's important to us that anyone we choose to partner with share our values. So my question is this: do your employees and your contractors know the mission and the values of your business, and do they embody them daily? Because whether they do or they don't comes through in all their interactions, and it's creating an experience that will either reveal your mission and live it or speak boldly against it. And it's a daily choice as to how people show up. How could your business change if moving forward you made your values and your experience that you wanted everyone to engage with you to have front and center for everyone to see? For us, employees and contractors and those that work on our behalf must know how we show up and be willing to do the same. In your work, everyone should know and live the values of your business, and everyone should show up like it's their name instead of Robert's Coffee. It's Trivinia's Coffee on the side of the building. They should behave as if it is their company. Did you know this? 33% of Americans say that they will consider switching companies after just a single instance of poor service. 74% of people are likely to switch brands if they find even the purchasing process too difficult. Make it easy for people to give you their money. Because after one negative experience, 51% of customers will never do business with that company again. So we've got, in most cases, one shot to get it right. But the payout on exceptional customer experience is that 7 out of 10 US consumers say that they have spent more money to do business with a company that delivers great service. Their product could even be subpar, but if the experience is a great experience for them, they'll spend more money with you. I think we all know that increasing customer retention, even by 5%, will increase your profits anywhere from 25% to 95%. I don't know about you, but I would love to be making more money by increasing my profits, even 25%. And it's anywhere from 5 to 25 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than it is to keep our current one. And so I think we all know that intellectually in our heads, but most of us are looking for the next buyer instead of loving on the ones that we already have. It's true that businesses who have prioritized acquisition over retention are missing out in a really big way. A moderate increase in customer experience generates revenue over and over again for companies. One company that I researched a few years ago saw an increase of $823 million over 3 years by changing one thing. They changed how they engaged with their customers. They didn't change their product or their offerings at all. They simply changed the process in which they engage with their customers. So how do we see this from the customer's perspective and increase the bottom line for all of us? A study from Forrester showed that the majority, really 66% of adults, felt that valuing their time was the most important thing a company could do to provide them good customer service. If you ever feel like your time is disrespected, Just go into a shopping center where there's like a young gal chatting it up with her boyfriend and you have to sort of fight for her attention, right? I think that there are instances where we feel like we're not the priority, and some customers say something and others don't. But when a customer shares their story, their experience with your company, they're not just sharing their pain points. They're actually teaching you how to make your product or your service and your business better. The Temkin Group found that after having a positive experience with a company, 77% of customers recommended it to a friend. Are customers talking about you, your app, your store, your service, your business in the way that you want them to? What if we would dare to be a little different? I don't think anyone in Savannah does this better than the Bananas owner, Jesse Cole. Everyone knows his company motto of fans first. Alan Weiss says, ask your customers to be part of the solution and don't view them as part of the problem when they're emailing and calling and messaging you on Facebook to complain about what's going on. Jesse has done this, made his customers part of the solution instead of the problem in every facet of building the Bananas organization, and it shows. 68% of customers at American Express, a company that's known for their excellent customer service, said that simply a pleasant representative was key to their recent positive experiences. See, the thing is here, you don't always have to have the right answers. Sometimes the app's not ready. Sometimes the product did fail. But if you are pleasant in sharing what you do know, people will notice. Answering with just a few word answers, just to like move on to the next task, doesn't let anyone feel heard. Customers expect businesses to respond to their emails within an hour, studies show. The handful of companies that respond promptly and accurately to customer emails increase trust in their brand. It bolsters customer satisfaction and it boosts sales both online and offline. Because the truth is, you guys, only a handful of companies actually give a rip about the experience their customers receive after money exchanges hands. Imagine that you are a lifeguard at a swimming pool. Their entire job is to watch for problems and to respond to them as quickly and as safely as possible. In customer service, that's our job for our customers too. Lifeguards train a long time to be ready to hop in at a moment's notice and resolve an issue. Responsiveness to them is life or death. Now, thank God we don't have that kind of responsibility, but it is a responsibility nonetheless. Our execution is a little bit different though. I know it's hard to go to these trainings because we all have Zoom fatigue. We just want to be around real people. I talk really fast, and you already believe, yeah, we already have a process. We have systems and we have procedures. But this, guys, this is the gold that will keep your customers raving about you. This is what might be the key to turning things around during the COVID crisis. It can be what sets you apart from all the rest. This idea is what makes premium feel premium. And as to the customer, it is the most important aspect of the work that you do. Whether it's talking an accounting client off the ledge or it's dealing with someone canceling services, this is what will make people not give up on your company, shop at the other store, or use another service. And it's simple, almost too simple that people dismiss it, but it's the CARE acronym. Consider, acknowledge, respond, and empathize. It is as if your response to someone, how you show up in the moment, whether it's a casual inquiry or a serious reminder that maybe you're kind of on a slippery slope to losing them. It's the difference between you inviting them in to sit with you on the couch, have some tea and talk about their problems, or if you're rushing them through like you're on a mad dash on Black Friday so you could get your TV at Walmart. You know what I mean? Pushing anything and everything out of your way so that you can get the thing that is on your to-do list that's most important. It's when you give quick one-word answers outside of these CARE guidelines. Customers feel like a little old lady that just got mowed down so that you can get your talking Elmo. So how does it look practically? I want to dive in from an outsider's perspective because in the real world, it plays out different than on paper almost always. And I know most of you typically already are striving to like be early, right? To be radically generous in your time and your response and your solutions. Since most of us are meeting online these days or having calls instead of in person, arrive a few minutes early, prepared, engaged, and ready to go. Plus, it's always great to get started a few minutes early for busy owners who have more than enough to do in the day. So be radically generous, be prepared for a meeting, and be ready to go. And part of that radical generosity is testing your tech. I got on this call 15 minutes early so that I could make sure the tech worked. Don't be that guy on a call that doesn't know how to work the microphone on your camera, or don't keep the meeting waiting because you don't know how to make Zoom work on your phone. I avoid this problem by doing a calendar review of everything that I have coming up, mentally preparing myself for the week ahead and testing any new software along the way. But sometimes we're all moving so fast and it's easy to just answer quickly or ignore the email. Maybe you send a one-word response that's like, yep, to a question. You guys, I have been there. When there are 87 emails in my inbox, I don't have the time or the desire to respond with the Magna Carta to every one of them. But that's what leads to errors, to customers not feeling acknowledged, and responses sent just for the sake of them being sent. They can tell, you guys. I don't know what magical fairy dust lets them know that I didn't have a desire to reply, but they can. They know it. I've got dozens of chickens at my property. And just the other day, I was at a local feed and seed store looking for this Tough Stuff Products lockbox for my grain. And after looking at it for myself, I asked the employee if they had any stock in the back. And she looked at me as if I was bothering her and said, "We don't have any." And I waited for a moment, and I anticipated her offer of maybe ordering one or checking stock at another store or telling me even maybe when I might be able to anticipate another shipment coming. But she just kept on walking. Now, how is that a good customer experience? I came in for that bucket, but I probably would have left with several other bags of feed and probably some other things that I found in the clearance bin along the way. But this interaction left me frustrated. And I took my business online instead, and this company may have lost a customer for good from one interaction. That's all it takes. So if we look to what our customers really want, what I wanted in the seed store, they just needed to be supported. Like, let's say if I was in a car accident and I just wanted somebody to just keep my head steady. I wanted to feel supported until I knew that I was being taken care of. Have you ever felt like that? Do your clients give off that vibe too, that they just need to know they're supported? Here are some simple, surefire ways that you can ensure that you're modeling care and offering that level of support with every interaction. The C in care is consider. Consider what the client is saying. Read between the lines, and you've got to slow down to do that. Consider why they've reached out to you, and are you the right person for their solution? If not, get them where they need to go. And consider how you can solve their problem. What is the most effective way that you can turn any interaction into an incredible experience? The A in care is acknowledge. Acknowledge what their pain point is. Acknowledge why it's a pain point for them. And acknowledge how you can provide a solution. And easy, answer all their questions. This is especially a problem in email communication. People don't answer all that is being asked of us or even acknowledge what is being said. Had the lady at the feed store acknowledge, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We don't have any of those and I have no idea when a truck is coming. I can look online and see if we're going to get any in stock or if we can have one delivered for you." That's a lot different than "we don't have any." So as an example, if you receive a communication, an online chat, an email, a message with questions or needs, be honest with yourself. Do you actually read everything or do you just skim it? I had a group event last fall and I had sent a pretty thorough email with very specific instructions people had to follow in order to attend. And of the 10 people there, only 3 people downloaded a specific app they had to have before we were at this retreat center with no Wi-Fi. You guys, read the entire message that you're receiving and answer all the questions and take appropriate action. Respond. The R in care is to respond. Respond thoughtfully. Making sure that you're truly acknowledging the reason that people reached out to you in the first place and respond slowly, because customers can read it in a response and they know that you're rushed. Yes, your lifeguard alter ego is saving the day with your response, but you can't do it rushed, and you can do it very thoughtfully. And then respond on brand. Do you have a brand response? Does any customer know how your brand should respond? And do your employees know how they should be engaging and interacting on your behalf? It's the hardest thing to do, but it is the most effective communication tool of the care model. When you respond, be sure you include what their pain point is, why it is a pain point for them, and how you can provide a solution. And you can do this when the responses or when the emails or the chats are positive too. We are so glad you had an amazing experience. We're so glad that you found the seed thing that you were looking for your chicken food. And if you ever need anything else, we'll be glad to help you again. The same is true, whether the experiences are positive or negative. And finally, empathize. Through your response, make sure that you have expressed that the client is your priority. Guys, it's hard because every client is your priority. Which fire do you put out first? It's never going to be 100% right. And anyone who's run a business before will likely be understanding of that. All your customer interactions, though, should leave people feeling like, holy, whoa, that team took good care of me today. One of the biggest challenges I've seen in working with countless of clients is the need to try and cover for our mistakes, or when something doesn't go as planned. We want to make excuses. We want to blame COVID or tornado sirens or the fact that someone else didn't do something. We don't need to give reasons or excuses. We need to acknowledge that something didn't get done. That's often enough if you also bring a solution. Apologize, but don't make an excuse. It is infuriating to a customer to always just have excuses for errors given. I remember 4 days into working with a huge client when I was first starting out in business years ago. And he scolded me and he gave me a very valuable lesson. He said, instead of simply correcting the typo or updating the link on the website and saying done in our messaging software, I need you to own what you did wrong and bring a solution. And that lesson stayed with me, and it's what your customers expect of you, whether they voice it or not. So promise the solution. This is where you turn the pissed off customer into the raving fan. Promise the solution and then quickly deliver on it. You become a champion, tensions are brought down, and hopefully you've documented the process along the way so that you can prevent something like this from happening again in another situation. Let your teams and your customers, especially if you're a one-man show, let them poke holes in your process and let them offer solutions. It will make the experiences better for you and for the clients that you serve. It's always intimidating to ask questions, to ask our clients and our customers how we're doing. But guys, we get so stuck doing things the way we have always done them that we often don't even realize there is a better way. It's an easy way for your team to add value. They're sharing something they know that you don't, but you have to first empower them to do it. Proactive communication is key to adhering to this model. You've got to be proactive, whether you're checking in weekly with new customers as you're onboarding them, daily with your teams, especially if you're in the midst of a crazy transition or season like a pandemic. There's little that causes me more anxiety as a founder than stumbling on a problem. The one thing that makes most CEOs wonder when they do stumble upon a problem is, what else haven't I found? It's hard to manage all the expectations of our clients and of our customers, but being proactive to update our clients on a regular basis helps them know that they can count on you and that they won't have to kind of find bad news. This is a personal belief of mine, and it's quite controversial, but I'm going to share it nonetheless. I never charge for communication time with my clients. Now, the attorneys who might be listening on this call might be cringing right now, but I believe that effective communication with your client is like chips and salsa at a restaurant. It is simply the cost of doing business. If someone wants me to fly to them or spend all day in meetings, then yes, that's guac. That's extra. But communication is the chips and salsa in our business, and we do it because we exist. And a little chips and salsa goes a long way to satisfying a relationship. Some questions I want you to consider personally as a company when you're creating your customer experience around communication is, how do you communicate best? If you write better than you talk on the phone, then do that. Or if maybe you write out talking points before you get on the call so that you don't get nervous. If video freaks you out, be light about it and just say, like, I'd rather gouge my eyes out than be on video. How do you feel about that? And they might say, yeah, let's turn off the video because I don't want to do it either. How do you show up as your best self? Because you need to be sure that you're scheduling these interactions when you are at your best. Setting yourself up for success in how you communicate is important. Just the other day, I had a major attitude before an important meeting. And so I had to force myself to just go on a walk and clear my head for a minute so that I could come back and be present in a way I needed to before this meeting. And you need to know yourself well enough to know how you show up at your best and build in some clear the head time before you respond to some things, and encourage your team to do the same. Don't take on too much either, because if you can't do it, don't say that you can. You have the right as a business owner, your team as an employee, they have a right to raise their hand and tap out for a minute. If life is getting in the way of your performance, it's critical that you communicate that to your team. They're going to help you come up with a plan to transition, to take a couple of days off or whatever you need to. But you have to be on the lookout as a leader for this in your team too. Because if anyone is burning the candle at both ends, it's going to show. And be sure that if you commit, that you're committed. And if that commitment changes, it's your responsibility to get help. Don't be a martyr, because it's not going to do anybody any good. So what do you value in communication with a team or a leader or an individual? And how can you mirror that back to your clients and customers that you serve? I think it's important for you to think about what you value and what your customers value and how you might be able to embody that in all of your communication. Because in today's world, our messaging is all over the place. We have clients all over the globe, and we're in Slack and email and apps and text and chat and messenger. And trust me, your customers are confused and they hate it all. They want a clear, simple solution to get what they need. I suggest that you go all in on one or two tools so that your team and your customers know how to get the information that they need. If your phone number is on your website, answer the phone. If you send people to Facebook Messenger because you don't have a website, have someone available to respond. You gotta learn the tools. I know the technology is changing fast and it's hard, but this is your responsibility as a business owner so that you can be radical in your service. And you're gonna need to remind yourself and your teams too sometimes when you start to slip up and you go back into those old patterns of communication. Set the stage and continue with it and be collaborative in your partnerships. With serving so many people in so many different areas, it's hard to have one way that works for everybody, right? You might have client Bob that loves to pick up the phone and Sally who loves to send in an email. But if you can work towards streamlining the type of communication that you send and receive, it's going to help you as an owner not only have to be context switching from thing, to Slack, to Zoom, to phone, to email, to chat. If you do need to do those things, I suggest that you batch them so that all your calls are going to be on a certain day. All video calls are on Tuesdays. Batch those things. But what do we do when emergencies happen? Because they stink and they're terrifying. But this is the real world that we're living in. And so if your gallbladder decides that it hates you, it's your responsibility to communicate problems and have a backup plan for when you need to be out. The best way to do this is to have your processes documented so another team member can pick up the ball and keep things moving forward in your absence. Standard operating procedures for your frequent processes, not for everything. Don't get overwhelmed with the fact that I don't have any standard operating procedures, but for your frequent processes need to be a requirement. So when you win the lottery and you move to Fiji, your teams can carry on without you. But what about other emergencies that get noticed by the with the customers that you're serving? Have you trained your teams to say something if they see something? Many of our teams, the people we're paying $10, $15, $20 an hour, they see the writing on the wall long before the shareholders do because they're in the weeds next to the customers. If they notice trends, good or bad, they need to be allowed to say something. If they notice that something is off kilter, they have a responsibility to raise a hand, but you have a responsibility to respond. Communicating the hard stuff is really challenging. I'm never going to forget the time that my accountant called me on the phone, and she said a client who had something like 33% of our revenue in services was canceling immediately that day because they had just run out of money. I was terrified. And she made a point to communicate with me the way that she knew I needed to hear it. Because if I had gotten that information in an email, I would have probably had a stroke or started thinking about the 732 ways my business was going to die. And instead, on the phone, she was there to support me. She helped me create a plan for keeping our cash flow positive, and it was the epitome of a good customer experience, even at the worst of possible times. When it counts, pick up the phone or show up in person. Don't take the easy way because you're afraid to communicate the hard stuff. So there's been a lot of info in this session. And if you take anything away from this, I want it to be these last few slides. In 17 years of working virtually, I have found that most issues aren't a people issue. They are a process issue. When technology fails, because it will, you need to fall back on your relationships that you have built with your clients and your teams. And if you have been available, communicative, and proactive in your role, even when you've made big promises and not delivered, their issues and their frustrations, their fears aren't likely ever about you. They are your customers' own fears or their insecurities, and they're often projecting them onto you. And this is exactly why that care model works so well when it's implemented. It helps the customer know that you hear them and that you are here to take care of them, to partner with, and to support them. What it all boils down to is this: you are a reflection of the companies you serve. If you are the founder, your teams are a reflection of you. Every interaction you have is either creating a raving fan or pulling someone away from working with you in your company. It is a huge responsibility, and I know that it can sometimes make us cringe when an email comes in or the phone rings or you see that Facebook message. But here's what I can absolutely, without a doubt, promise you, and I know making promises are bold, but if you commit to giving a little more than is expected, it's going to make you stand out from all the rest. And it is always worth it, whether it's in reputation or in dollars. The extra mile, you guys, is never crowded. If you're looking to create your own communication brand guide so that you can set up the care model in your business and your teams will know how you want them to respond, I want you to download a free template at priorityva.com/creative coast, and it will help you get started so that you can communicate well how you want your brand represented. Thanks for being here. Do you guys have any questions?
Awesome. I loved it. Thank you. I do have a question.
Great.
Because I am a one-woman army, as
Yes.
you already know, for the most part. I mean, I do have Kate part-time as my social media director, and she's doing an amazing job, and trying to start thinking about growing the team a little bit. But one of the challenges I've found over multiple organizations now has been a lack of clarity as to who the customer was early on, led customers to the organization that are not really a fit, right? And then I'm having a challenge because my communication back to them is not really effective, and they get upset because they're not really a fit for who my customer is.
Sure. Okay, so let me pair
that. Like, you think, like even Creative Coast, right? So Creative Coast, I took it over 2 years ago, And it's been around for 20 years, and it was founded. In the founding documents, it says it's around technology-enabled businesses, helping entrepreneurs launch technology-enabled businesses.
Yeah.
But over the last 20 years, it broadened its thing to try and be all things to all people. So when I came back into town and took it over, and I took it back to its original charter, I have all these people that are still coming to us that are not technology-enabled businesses. And it's not really our job to serve them. And I'm trying to reposition us back into this place.
Yeah.
And sometimes I come off as communicating poorly, or they take it as I'm being mean, or whatnot, because I'm like, well, you're not really a fit for what we're doing. So, you know, and I'm trying to steer them someplace else, but it still comes off as bad. So
for sure. Yeah. So
it has to do with the brand being broken at some point in time and trying to course correct. And
I think that in this instance, the care model will be so profound to you. And this can just be a template, honestly, a template that you have just saved in your Gmail or wherever your email is, that you just pull up when you've got the person who's not a fit for you. And if we model care and we hear them and we acknowledge what they're saying, I know that you are looking, like, let's just say, I don't know, they're a painter. You know, I know that you are looking for a place to find community and grow and to learn about being entrepreneurs and blah, 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 right? So acknowledge that, what they really are needing. And then if you are able to empathize with that, and it is frustrating in these times and days to not have a place to call home. I totally get it, blah, 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 right? And then I would say that this is where the sort of front-loaded work needs to be done. And maybe you can have, you know, Kate help you with that. But as if you can have a list of places in different sectors that they might be able to go to get some additional support, right? So if it's in the art industry, maybe SCAD has something that they have a community of people. You know, if it's, I don't know, in a dry cleaning service, maybe you have a service professionals place that you can send them. And then just send that to them with options, because just like me in that seed and feed store, I just wanted the lady to be like, I can't help you like today, right now, but here are some different options for you. And even if she would have told me, the thing is out of stock, we're never going to get it back again or whatever, it would have been better than we don't have any. And so I would tailor that communication to just go through that care model, show concern, acknowledge, respond, and empathize with them. And then I believe that the work that you have to do to leave the good impression is to send them somewhere else. We tell our assistants all the time, you guys, I own a virtual staffing company, so I place executive assistants with entrepreneurs all the time on a fractional basis. And I say, you can have your executive assistant be a gatekeeper, someone who keeps people away from you and your service, or you can have them be a gateway, someone who gets the people the information that they need, regardless if it's you or not. And that's, I think, what customers are wanting when they come to Creative Coast, is they're just like, can you give me some information, even if it's not you? I'm looking to you because you have a reputation to just send me off in the right direction. So I think that's like a couple hours of research and a templated email that's just super fluffy and nice. I think that'd probably be better.
Awesome. Thanks.
Awesome. Dean, Jeremy, thanks for being here. Do you guys have any questions? That I'm an open book. We can dive into like your business specifically and see if we can help out. Y'all on mute. And that's okay too. If you don't have any questions, that's good. You know, the thing that I want you guys to take away from this, especially in the times of COVID. Oh, Jeremy, what's up, dude? Got a question?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, no, I just kind of stumbled in late here. Yeah, so I didn't have any questions cooked up at the moment, but I look forward to checking out priorityva.com here, and you know, appreciate your work and all that stuff.
Well, thanks for being here. I think it's always great. I love this online learning method. It allows us to kind of pop in, pop out. Don't even have to have your camera on. It's all good. It works for me, and I have 4 kids, and so I'm always like, can we make it as easy as possible for me to still engage and not do stuff? So grateful for you being here.
Well, when you're flying around the house, you know, and sometimes you've just hopped out of the shower and you want to catch the last bit of what's going on, but you know, you're not really in a presentable format.
For sure. What's your business, Jeremy?
So we're a software company that's building. Essentially, our goal is to build trust online. We're currently in the process of launching a digital wallet on a cryptocurrency ledger.
Ooh. You had me at Build Trust Online. One of my taglines for my company is I help people build teams they can trust. So you had me there. I love it. We, my partner and co-founder Chris is on this call, and we have a friend who's very big into Bitcoin, and he gifted us some like a kind of like a, I don't know, Chris, what was it? Like a Visa gift card that was Bitcoin. And we invested it. And Chris was just telling me the other day, our Bitcoin went up. I was like, yay. I don't know. I am not that into Bitcoin yet, but that's great, Jeremy. I'd love to check you out and follow along and just see how I can support you and your business in any way possible. So thanks for showing up today.
Yeah, thanks. We don't really have, I'm still in the process of practicing a pitch, obviously. We're really figuring out who we are, what our customers are. We're in that discovery process. We kind of made the common mistake of building too much first.
Yeah.
And now we're backpedaling and really, figuring out who we are and who it is that we want to serve and what problems they have and all those kinds of things. It was a process of learning that nobody cares about your solution. I'm learning this every day, nobody really cares about your solution. They only care about your problems.
Yes.
So I'm still in that learning. I'm still in that learning phase.
That is so exciting. If you're open to a suggestion,
yes,
there is a book. It is a very quick read. It is by a dear friend of mine. His name is Cameron Harold, and it's called Vivid Vision. And he helps people create a vision for their companies and how to explain that to your customers. Because if your customers can latch onto your vision, they will buy anything from you because they believe in what you're doing. So Vivid Vision by Cameron Harold, super quick read, honestly, like on an hour-and-a-half long flight, you could finish it.
Yeah. I love that book myself. I think
Awesome.
I might have referred to it at the class, Jeremy.
That you definitely did. And I have a Vivid Vision up on our website. But it was created surrounding, so we've pivoted a number of times over the past year and a half, 2 years. And we were working on a medical records platform initially.
Oh, yeah.
Part of this trust online, we wanted to be able to provide a trustworthy reference. So like basically a system of reference links to your medical records. So anywhere you are, anytime, any place, you can access medical records. If you're at one doctor's office and you need the blood test records for this other thing, that was the goal and the dream, right? But we realized pretty quickly that we didn't really have the experience in the medical field that we needed. There's all kinds of regulatory issues. It was just a little bit big. It was a little bit too big for our britches, to be honest.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
So we shifted gears. The Vivid Vision that I crafted was around that, surrounding that. But I need to go back and revisit that. And it's a challenge to get your messaging straight and at the same time just get the nitty gritty business done.
For
right?
sure.
I find myself getting caught up in getting things done and not being clear on what it is that we're doing and what do we want for people and what we want for ourselves.
Okay, one more thing, and then I'll shut up because I know that you didn't come here for coaching, but
no, I'm here for. I hit up Creative Coast for insights.
Awesome.
Jen and I have been, we've been in discussions for basically the entire time I've been doing this whole entrepreneurial thing. So.
And it's so great to have someone like Jen to be able to bounce ideas off of and to kind of volley and hold your feet to the fire, right? To like get things done. One thing that a friend of mine asked me years ago, and it really helped me figure out who I was and what I wanted to be about, is they asked me 3 questions. And they said, what pisses you off, Trivinia? And I was like, okay. And then they said, what breaks your heart? And what problem do you solve? And if you can create a business and a message that weaves all 3 of those things into your message, then you will, A, you'll be doing what you're meant to do, I believe. But B, you'll be able to communicate that very clearly to your customers. And so just maybe spend some time like writing that down. What pisses you off? What breaks your heart? And what problem do you solve? And does that pertain to this new Bitcoin venture that you have? And if so, then it just makes it easier to communicate kind of the meat of that when you're in front of someone. So quick, I am pissed off by the fact that moms have to choose, am I going to be a good mom or am I going to be a good employee when they have kids? Okay, that makes me angry. It breaks my heart that so many startup businesses fail because they don't have the support that they need. They're one-man shows, they're trying to do it all, and like they just are buried with work and they can't handle it anymore. And the problem that I solve is that I provide a job for the mom who wants to be home with her kids and use the skills that she has and make money and contribute to the bottom line of her family, helping the business owner who's overwhelmed and overworked and doesn't know what to do. So that allows me to communicate that very clearly and succinctly to anyone that I come in contact with. So spend a little bit of time, answer those 3 questions, and I'm sure Jen will help you work through that when you're ready.
I love
Love
that.
that. I'm gonna do the exercise myself.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting. I was at a speaking engagement in Puerto Rico, and one of the other fellow speakers was a friend of mine, and we were just sitting outside at the pool with a drink in our hand. And I said, how do you know if you're doing the right thing? You know, I was just wondering. And he's like, spend some time and ask that. And it really helped solidify that, yes, I am doing the right thing. I just needed to get clear in my own head that I was. So. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this really great informative session. I'm going to wrap it here and stop recording.